Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. His name is Josh Patter. Hey, Josh.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm so excited to have you here today. And so before we dive in, let me give our listeners a little bit of your background, and then we can get started. So Josh is a two-time two-comma award winner through ClickFunnels, CEO of 4 companies, board member of Photo Booth Dallas, Ty Lopez's Knowledge Society Educator, Dan Pena QLA Graduate, and SEO Master. Josh moved to the U.S. from South Africa in 2001 with nothing more than a few bags and a strong desire to succeed. 19 years later, his company has recognized by the Inc. 5000 Texas and ranked 63rd fastest growing company. He's a strong believer that anybody can make it, no matter the background they came from. Wow, man, that's a lot of accomplishments that you've definitely taken, and I like the idea of really anyone can make it and having that strong desire. So let's talk about your upbringing. Tell me more about your growing up as a kid in South Africa.
Yeah, man. So South Africa, it's not a common one, so it's hard for people to understand. But yeah, we grew up there. My dad, he did well for himself. He's self-educated, and he was in banking, and so he would always take me to his clients' businesses. And so I think from an early age, I got exposed to seeing these big houses and going to these different businesses and stuff like that. And I think it kind of inspired me for the rest of my life. So around 2001, my family decided to immigrate to America for a better life. Things were getting bad in South Africa. A lot of crime was happening. Obviously it's a third world country. They don't have infrastructure, hospitals, police, like they do here, in America. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we packed up everything. We sold everything we had. People would come to the house and buy our dining room set, our sofas, our cutlery, our plates. We just had a for sale sign on the door, and people just walk off the street and come. There was no Craigslist or internet back then, right?
Right.
I mean, you just had to put up signs. I remember packing up my toys. I had to sell a lot of my toys, and I was 11 years old at the time, and it was tough, man. I had to pack my toys, and we went to a flea market, and I had to sell my marbles. This guy worked me down on my marbles for 100 Rand. That's a currency down there. I'll never forget that. I was like, it was because I collected all the special marbles, like the moon ones and the big ones. And yeah, I had to let it go. So it was a real tough experience, and then at the airport, got your entire family there crying. You never know when you're going to see anybody again, or if you ever see them again, and just hopping on the plane, everybody's just shedding tears, and it was a crazy experience. And then it just so happened that I came after the week of 9/11. So 9/11 happened, and then our family is like, is this the right thing to do? Should you be doing this? There's some, everybody could come up with ideas on the other side of the world, right? And but my family was like, hey, we're gonna still go through with this. So we ended up coming here, and came here in about September 2001. It was a big adjustment. I went to middle school. I started 6th grade middle school. Got bullied. Got made fun of. My accent, the way I talked, I didn't understand the lingo. I didn't know what scoot over meant. like, hey, scoot over. I'm like, what
Yeah.
does that mean?
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like you say, move over, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember that, and like writing with pencils, and also like not wearing a uniform. And like the
Mm,
schools in South Africa, we had to wear a uniform every day. You
right.
know, so it's the same thing. It doesn't matter, you know, no Gucci belts or anything like
Right.
that, right?
Right.
So yeah, just adjusting to that, and trying to make the best of it and make friends. And yeah, about high school, I started figuring everything out. So like ninth grade, I'm like, okay, this is my chance, like move from middle school, leave all the old people. We're starting fresh. Like, okay, let's get adapted, get cool clothing, get a cool haircut, and like look cool, right? And then just at the time, I always wanted to like I wanted to get money, right? Like I was like, how can I better my life? Like how I want to be successful. I want to be successful, right? I want to have my own business. So I started off selling. In ninth grade, I started selling fake Nike shoes from China. So I was importing shoes from Shenzhen, and they would come to my house, and then I would take them to school, and I would sell them, like
Mm,
Jordans and Air Force Ones and stuff like that, right? And shoes, like in high school, it's all about what shoes you got and
right.
what brands you're wearing and stuff like that. So it went really well. It went really well. Like every week I would be, selling, a couple $100 worth of shoes. And then I was like, okay, this seems like a good business. Let me get a website. So this was 2007 to 2007. So I'll go on Yahoo sites. I create a website on Yahoo sites. That was like one of the only website hosting back then.
Yeah.
Uh, got all my catalog on there and everything. So business is going good. I'm making money. Next thing you know, I come back home one day, open the mailbox, and then I got Nike Corporation versus Josh Pather. So it's like a trademark
Yeah.
infringement lawsuit. And I'm like, oh, I'm just shattered at this point. I don't know what to do. I'm in high school,
Yeah.
and so that kind of just, it put a big damper on everything. And I kind of lost a lot of hope at that point. And we ended up settling the case. I think we settled for about $5,000. We just told them like, hey, I'm just in high school. This is just,
Yeah.
for fun. You know what I mean? But I remember the letter came in the mailbox, and they screenshotted my website. And then me and my supplier, we had a good relationship. He put my name on his website. So they
Uh,
screenshotted his website, and they were like, yeah, we got you red-handed. Here's your
yeah.
name. And this is the company that, that you buy from. And I'm like, I couldn't even make up any excuse.
Right.
So, so that happened. And now during that time, I was actually, um, uh, I was selling the shoes like in high school and then eBay. And so I was like starting to get into like learning online, like how to make a website,
Mm,
that kind of stuff. So I finish off high school. I'm working at a bank during this time. So I got a job at Bank of America.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so when I graduate, this was like 2008. Now, you know what happened in 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
So uh, the bank that I was working at, it closed down. So I ended up going to work at a call center. So I'm at a call center now. It's about 2009 this time. And I'm like, going in there every day. I'm taking calls, and it's just annoying. Like, I don't know if you've ever worked at a call center before, but it's like, it's back to
Mm,
back calls. Like, hey, thank you for calling. This is Josh. How can I help you? And then like that call hangs up. The next one just comes in right away. So you don't
mm,
even have a second to like breathe or anything. And every second is tracked. So like they
mm,
track your hours and your minutes by your phone. So if you're not logged in, ready to accept calls, like that actually goes against you. It's called adherence. And you
mm,
can't have more than 15 minutes difference from what schedule they gave you for that day versus what actually happened in your, on what you did.
mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was tough. It was just every day back to back calls. And the company I was working at was Experian, the credit bureau,
Mm,
and they were buying out uh, other companies. So, they would go out to like a local uh, credit bureau, and they would buy them, or a local company, and acquire them. And so, overnight we would get 1 million customers, right? And so, like, you can see the call queue, that we had a TV on the wall, and you can see like how many calls are in queue, right? So it'd be like 100 calls, a day average. When they buy a new company, it'll go to 500 calls a day. So it was really stressful. And so while this is happening, I started while I was at the bank, I met a DJ, one of the other tellers there. And so I would help him do these events. And so eventually he got so big now he needed someone else to DJ for him. So at that point, when I left the bank and I was in the call center, I was actually doing some wedding DJ on the side. Make a couple $100 here and there. And it was fun, get to go out, on the Saturday evenings and not spending money at the bar, right?
Right,
Drinking.
exactly.
So, and so, yeah, we started doing that. And then I got a call one day from another friend and he said, hey, I went to a wedding and I saw a photo booth and I think we should do it. And I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. I'm already in the industry. I know that, this could have potential to be big. So we go to Home Depot, we get a couple $100 together. We go and buy the heaviest wood. I don't know why we did that. We bought MDF wood, 3/4 inch. Now it's the wood that they make speaker boxes out of.
Oh, wow.
It was so heavy. And so we were like, yeah, we want it to be durable. So, and in the end, we realized like this is overkill, for what we were using it for. So we built it in, this would have been 2012 of Thanksgiving. We built it during that time. And then we did our first event on December 6th, 2012. And this was DJ and photo booth. We charged a lady, I think $500. It was a real good price. Now that package price is $1,500,
Yeah.
but we gave her a good price. We're just posting ads on Craigslist. That's all we had back then. Like we didn't have no money for marketing or anything. So yeah, we did that. Did our first event. I was DJing the event and my friend was operating the photo booth. And like we made this photo booth. So it was an inkjet printer that we got from Walmart and a touchscreen that we had laying around. And the pictures take like 30 to 60 seconds to print out. So we got to wait a whole minute for the picture to print. And then we had a scissors and we had to cut the pictures in half. Now, we have a photo printer. It takes like 2 seconds to print out and the printer cuts it for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started from that. And so I remember going to that event. I forget my laptop because I'm so stressed out. It's our first event, the first time we ever made money, right?
Yeah.
Like with this new venture. I forget my laptop. So I ended up DJing with 2 iPhones at the time. Luckily, the iPhones had the headphone jack back then.
Wow.
So that was, 2012. And I was still working at the call center. I would, in the evenings, I would, run the business, work events. We're posting ads on Craigslist. And then, I knew how to build a website from, when I was doing the shoe stuff. So I put a website together really quickly and we were able to get, on the first page of Google really fast. So our first year, we actually did over 146,000 and we were like, whoa, we were blown away. We're like, okay, like, so we got this new photo booth now. It's less work than DJ. I'm making more money than I'm making at the call center.
Yeah.
So I was like, so 2013 comes around. I'm working at the call center. Now the call center is a big company. It's a multinational company. I got a 401k, right? I'm the stock employee stock purchase plan, get a discount on that. I got my health insurance. I'm like, okay, I can work here and then do my side hustle at nights, right? You always keep that corporate job, if you will. So they come in one day and they tell us, hey, we're moving your job over to Costa Rica. Now, obviously, to make more money, they gotta please the shareholders, right? So I'm like, this changed plans once again now, know. So I ended up taking the severance package. This was June of 2013, and that was the last day I worked for somebody. They gave me like 3 months worth of pay. Then we started doing the photo booth business, full time. This would have been 2013. So between 2013 to 2015. We did over $1 million just renting photo booths.
Wow.
And during that time, every event we go to, like a wedding, right? People flying from out of town, they come in, they see the photo booth like, wow, I've never seen this before. It's the first time I've ever seen something like this. How did you guys get started? Where do you buy this equipment? So I'm like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity here. So that's when Photo Booth International was born. We actually started a separate entity to help people start a photo booth business. So we sell them the hardware, we sell them the training and the full package, and that's kind of where we are, today with that. I have made an exit on the rental company. I don't own that company anymore, but, I do advise for them. and now just spending my life helping other people to get started. We made a lot of mistakes starting off. We were amateurs, and if I could save somebody from one mistake, hey, that would make me feel good.
Yeah, wow. I got to tell you, that's amazing. And there's definitely a lot of things that you mentioned that just came to mind, right? And so I'm gonna take it back a little bit more, a little further, and just kind of digest that, because there's a lot of information, and I think part of it's funny hearing your story coming to the States, feeling out of place, not being able to understand the lingo, all those different things, kind of reminds me of myself when I came from Mexico, not having that. So I guess for me, I know I've learned some lessons, or there was things that I've learned through that transition. And so I want to take it back to when you were finally getting adjusted, or into your high school years, and you're like, I made it, I'm kind of there. What were some of the lessons that you might have learned through when you got here to sixth grade to high school, that even when you look back now, it's like back then you didn't see it, yet you're seeing it now?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint, one exact. You're kind of on your own, like I didn't really have, family. Like we were sponsored by my aunt and my uncle,
Hmm.
and they sponsored, my family to come here, right? And so, outside of, my sister, my mom and dad, that was it. Like we didn't really, have anybody else here. So I guess being not one of the lessons is not have because of that situation, I didn't have anybody to depend on. So I had to get the job done, So I think one of the lessons, and, anybody who works with me now or knows me, they're like, hey, Josh can get the job done. Like I'm really, I put that at a high, how do I say it? Like, it's the most important thing to me, like getting something completed, making sure it's done right, and not having to depend on other people. Like the skills that I have now is because I never wanted to depend on other people, because I didn't have other people. And also when I did, they've let me down. Now, obviously that goes, against a lot of things where it's like, you got to delegate and stuff like that. But I think with certainty that even if you delegate something, you should have you should know enough to not get screwed over, like if we hire a CPA, you probably talk to business owners all the time. They're like, they hired the CPA, they did the books wrong, right? And then they have to go back 3 years and redo all the books. That happened to me. We had to redo 3 years worth of books because we trusted someone to do it fully.
Yeah.
So I would say that would be the biggest one. Not being able to depend on people. Getting your skills together. Like from a young age, I knew how to sell. Like I mean, one of my first, whenever we came here, the first summer. So we came in like September 2001. By summer 2002, I was mowing lawns. I mowed my aunt's neighbor's lawn. We were still staying with her. We stayed with my aunt and them for 1 year. And the neighbor, like, he gave me a job. He was like, hey, you want to mow my lawn? And he actually taught me how to use a lawnmower. I didn't know how to use gas lawnmower back then. But just getting your skills from a
Yeah.
young age, I would say that's going to be the main thing.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the hustle and the resilience you talked about that, and that's where what has gotten you here, right? Is that the
Mhm.
fact that you're, definitely hustling, and I mean, from selling your toys at the flea market before coming to the States to selling shoes, all of that, whether or not there was a lawsuit or not, it doesn't matter. You still were doing the hustle, right? And
Yeah.
and the resilience. You talked about pretty much, not doing things on your own, right? And just kind of looking at your bio and the fact that you've been involved with Ty Lopez, to an extent, or his material, Dan Pena, all these different people. How critical is that, in terms of that further education, right? Like really seeing outside of just your circle of friends, because my opinion is, I think it's very important to get mentorship or get uh, things from other people that can help you in your journey, right? So how critical is that for you? Obviously, I want to say it is critical, but I want to get your input on that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a budget that, I spend every year on self-development. Uh, but to the contrary of that, I think there's a big problem right now in society where people are consuming too much information and they're not executing on that information. So I start off all my books now with like, hey, the future is about execution, not information, because we have all the information available to us now. Now, the reason why I go to, I paid 40,000 to go to Dan Pena. I flew to the castle in Scotland. I spent a whole week with him there. He's done $1 billion or 50 billion, however much he's done in transactions. And I know I needed to be in the same room with him to learn from him. So, I found the different people, excuse me, I found different people who I can learn from, and then, get in the same room with them. But at the same time, when I come back, I know I got to execute on it. So what I learned from there, I was able to execute, right away into my business and tie it into what I'm doing. It's funny because a lot of people half of the class that actually was in my class, they were actually working people. They came back from a castle in Scotland, staying with a billionaire, and come back to reality and go clock in the next day. I just can't understand that. But yeah, it's very important. But also, even more important than all of that is the execution. You can buy courses, you can listen to podcasts, you can do YouTube all day, and people get a high of, oh, I purchased this course, or I did this, or I did that, but they haven't executed nothing. Yeah. They haven't executed nothing. My record it's a lot of execution, and so I'll attend a seminar and then I won't do anything else for 6 months while I execute on that information. I read a book. Someone asked me the other day, what book are you reading? I'm like, bro, you're reading books every month, a new book every month, or a new book every day. When do you have time to execute? If you got 10 new ideas from one book, and then next month you pick up another book, and then you got 10 other ideas, I don't know when you have time to execute on it. And so people, I feel like, get caught up in that. So I think the execution is really important as well. More just as important as getting around the right people.
Yeah, and you know what? That's actually a good point. And even as of the recording of this show right now, as you said, there's so much information: YouTube, Facebook, podcasts, books, things like that. Clubhouse has been one that's very popular now, and there's definitely a lot of information. Yeah, there's people that are spending, a good amount of time on Clubhouse. And obviously, when I got started, I don't know, about a month ago, I was spending quite some time there too. Not so much now, because there's just so much information. You can get lost in so much information dump into your brain. But as you said, you got to be able to take that and you got to be able to execute. And if you're not executing, then you're not really taking action, which means that you're not going to be able to see those results, right? And exactly. I think it was Grant Cardone actually was in one of the clubhouses, and he said something to the point where, if you're spending all this time here on Clubhouse, that's great. It's not going to do you no good if you don't go out and actually execute, right? And it actually came from Grant Cardone himself, right? Because it's true. There's so much information.
You got to pick up the phone. You got to get in front of somebody. You got to send an email. Spending all day on Clubhouse, it seems cool, but I'm still figuring it out. I'm just going to be honest with you. I found myself listening, but then because anybody can just go on there and say anything about any subject. Even the room has a certain topic. I mean, for someone like me, I don't need entry level, how to set up an LLC, right? Even the room says, lessons from $10 million, whatever, entrepreneurs, right? But then we go in the room and they're talking about how to set up an LLC. That's a waste of time for me. You know what I mean? I need specifics to my business and my situation. If Clubhouse is great, but it's general information. And I need information for the next step in my life. What's the next thing that I'm going to do? That's what I'm focused on. When I'm consuming, even when I consume, I'm not going to go consume random information. I know, okay, if I need to learn about how to maybe sell or finance a real estate deal. Okay, then that's my next step, because I want to buy a building, because, then, okay, that's what I'm going to learn now. I'm not going to go learn how to, something else that's not related to what the next step is in your life specifically.
Yeah. And so someone that knows about you, or at least is listening to you right now, they're going to be like, wow, very successful, has all these different things going on for himself, has, ranked himself in one of the top, fastest growing companies, and all these great things, right? And so a lot of times people say, well, wow, you haven't really gone through any major challenges. And one big challenge you went through, and I want you to really dive into that, because I think that, I want to get your experience on that, is that one of your biggest challenges is that you have to split up with your business partner. And so sometimes in business don't go good. You lose money. I'm a real estate investor. I've lost a lot of money in real estate, just like I made a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be able to be prepared for that. You talked about even the little experience or minimal, small experience in high school of $5,000 that you had to settle with. That's still a loss, right?
Yeah.
But one of your biggest things was splitting with your business partner and getting sued by him because of breach of contract. So let's talk about that and what did that really do for you?
Hey, I love to talk about this stuff. I think talking about my successes is great, but I want to talk about how I failed.
Right.
And so yes, I'm glad you brought that up. This is a good learning lesson for everybody. So me and my partner that we started the photo booth with. So he is also from South Africa as well. His family immigrated to Dallas as well. And so I've known him for prior to starting the business, I would say about 5 or 6 years. And so we were very close, and we're like consider like, hey, we're brothers, we're best friends, right? We're going to do this business, we're going to make a lot of money, typical stuff, right? So we get set up. I remember the attorney setting up the LLC. He's like, if you guys ever have a dispute, I can't help you. And I was like, man, I love this guy. Nothing's ever going to happen. We're best friends. You know what I mean? And so
just with that, I would say that's a lesson to be learned by itself, right? Like you're saying, like we're best friends, nothing's gonna happen. It's like your husband, your wife, your friend from high school or elementary, whatever. But that's a lesson by itself.
Exactly. Yeah. Shit, that was a red flag that we missed. There's a red flag we missed. So we get the LLC set up. Things are going good. Money's rolling in. Now, when I focus on something, I'm nonstop. I'm nonstop on it. I'm hard. I make sacrifices. I have sacrificed my health in the past for my business, and so I go really hard when I go in something. So we started this business. I'm going hard on it. This guy is not coming to the office. He's coming in late. He's leaving early. And I'm like, man, it's not working out because I feel like I'm doing more, but yet we're 50-50 partners, So, one day he's like, hey, I'm leaving. I'm leaving early. I got some stuff to take care of. Now, if you're my best buddy, you don't have some stuff to take care of. Tell me what exactly is going on. What are you doing? This is the middle of a work day. What's more important than our business that we have together? So anyway, I follow him. He goes to our CPA's office where we go. And I'm like, what is this guy doing here? So he comes back to the office. I'm like, look, man, I followed you. I know what's going on. Like, what are you doing? Why were you over there? Like, if we're meeting with the accountant, we both need to be there. Why are you over there by yourself? And then he just comes clean. He's like, yeah, I'm starting another business. I don't think this is going well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, fine. Let me buy you out. And here's a lesson. We magically came up with a number with what we felt like was right.
Yeah.
Okay. Never do that. Go get a professional valuation done. Okay. Yeah. So we came up with a number. I think it was 100,000 or something like that. So, and then we wrote down all the stuff that he was going to keep. Like we had some tools and stuff like that. Then we go back to the same attorney that set up the LLC. And then he's like, he wrote up the buyout agreement. Okay. Now, being a young entrepreneur, you trust these attorneys, which goes back to my point that, always know enough so you don't get screwed over. This attorney wrote the buyout agreement to have a non-compete, but the non-compete was specifically for Dallas County only. So that means he could go and start the same business on the border of Dallas County and still operate and compete with my business and destroy my business if he wanted to. All right, so we go there, we get the non-compete. I make the first payment. We sign, everything's good. A couple months go by. I hear from a little birdie that he started the same business again inside Dallas County. So now he's breaching the contract. So I called an attorney. The attorney says, well, you should just stop making payments to him. That was a wrong mistake. What should have happened at that point was I should have filed a lawsuit against him. Okay, so another lesson on this, don't get advice from one single person. Speak to 2 or 3 CPAs, speak to 2 or 3 attorneys. They're all going to have different approaches to it. So what I should have done at that point is I should have hired an attorney to file suit against him for damages. But the attorney I spoke to said, oh, you should just stop paying him. and wait for him to sue you, and then you have the reason because he's breached the contract. So I stopped making payments to him. He nothing happens for like 6 months. Then come home one day, I get served. He's filing a lawsuit for me. I'm breaching contract because he says I didn't pay him. So we go back and forth for a year now, and they're claiming ignorance. They're saying, "Oh, well, we didn't realize we were operating in Dallas County." And so I'm like, "Well, that's the thing. I'm not going to pay you anymore." So then they threatened to do a judgment against me for the remaining balance. So I was like, "Okay, I don't want that on my record. I'm going to go ahead and we'll set up a new payment structure." Okay, so never the whole thing. I had to just forgive them for breaching the contract in the first place, and because I was amateur at that point. Now, hey, I'm ready for a lawsuit. You know what I mean?
You're like, bring it on, bring it
yeah,
on.
I'm ready. Yeah, we got a retainer. We're good.
Yeah.
So, but back then, so we had to just forgive them for breaching their contract, and then they, put it was an agreed judgment for the payout. So whatever the balance was, divided up by the payments, and so paid it out. It's over with now. It's all good. Finally, got over it. But lesson learned. Like if you're starting a business partner, wife, friend, anyone else, someone told me you should have a friendship agreement that says, hey, if this doesn't work out, I value your friendship, and this is what will happen if it doesn't work out. I buy you out, or you buy me out, or whatever. Agree on the price. Try to make it as clear as possible. The I love you thing and we're best friends, that's for the birds, and that's going to get you burnt later on, because people change, especially when you got money coming in. If you got a new girlfriend, he had a new girlfriend at the time. I don't know if that maybe had something to do with the influence of his decision, but people's lives change. And so what you guys started with, 3 years ago may not be the same person that you're going to be business partner with 3 years later.
Yeah.
And so I like to get all that stuff cleared up from the beginning.
And sometimes it could be even months too, right? I mean, I seen that too, where it could be, and maybe you see more on relationships, but again, loving relationships. But again, even that business relationships, same thing. Sometimes within months, something can change, right? And so this is more off topic, but just out of curiosity. So being a long-term friend and going back so back, you guys still talk, or that pretty much? Yeah.
It's lost, and it's a sad story.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be like that, because that's not. It wasn't my intention.
Right.
I mean, when you leave your family and you lose friends and you lose cousins and all that stuff, like the last thing you want is to keep losing more people. But at the end of the day, everybody has different intentions. And it didn't work out. Sadly, it could have been great. We could have been great together.
Right.
But
right.
and maybe I realized about myself, like, hey, this thing was a blessing in disguise. It was a lesson. Maybe that was my business degree, right? I didn't go to college. That was my degree in business law.
Yeah, and I mean, I like what you said, like having a friendship agreement, right? I mean, and say here things don't go well, or relationship agreement, here's going to be the aftermath. Nevertheless, though, one thing that I know that comes to mind is that even through that, as you said, that was your degree. There was lessons to be learned, like everything that took place. You extracted some lessons that now you know how to go and handle about it, and it's a very difficult pill to swallow. Like, it's very difficult to swallow that pill. Yet at the end of the day, when you look at it from that perspective, from this point forward, right? Maybe at that time it wasn't seen as that, but now you're like, you know what? It hurt. Yet here's what I learned. Now I know how to do business different, right? And so that's one thing that I like to, point out is, the ones that are listening to us, is that although, you have been very successful, you've gone through some challenges, you've gone through those downfalls, you've lost relationships, you've lost, money, in that aspect. Yet the one thing that I keep coming back to, and you keep going back to, is being resilient, and you're, not giving up and kind of pushing through, right, and moving forward. And so, having that said, and I just want to go back to the Photo Booth International. So is that also, so now that you have this idea of selling the equipment and all that stuff, is it a franchise of Photo Booth, or is not a franchised type of business?
So it's a franchise model, but we don't charge any fees, you know.
Got it.
So but we give, so when you come and buy a photo booth from us, you know, our mission is to help people, you know, start a business. So we serve the people who have never had a business before. It's their first time. And I'm passionate about helping those people because that's the mentor I needed when I started. I needed someone to tell me this is what's going to happen. You need to look out for this. You know, a guide, a blueprint. I needed that, but I didn't have it. I made the mistakes. So that's why, you know, we started Photo Booth International. Most of our customers, they've never had a business. They come in, hey, they talk to me, they see my story. They believe like, hey, if Josh can do it, he has no college degree. He came here with 2 bags from South Africa. I can do it too, you know. And we give them the training, we give them business contracts, we give them a community. We have a private Facebook group. We give them um, like operations training, uh, anything they're gonna need, support, tech support, that kind of stuff. So they come and buy the photo booth from us. The photo booths range, start off at about 4,000. They go up to 10,000, different packages and style. And it's a business in a box. You know,
Mm.
they buy the photo booth from us. They get everything they need. They can be successful. You know, we've given out an award last year for someone who made over 6 figures with his business. Now he
Wow.
does it full time.
Yeah.
Most people do it on the side, and then transition, you know, from their job.
Right.
But you know, yeah, we really try to help them, and we're passionate about it. I didn't just
Right.
wake up one day and say, hey, where's the money come? You know, let me go sell photo booths. It's because I was in the trenches. I built my first one. I know what it's like. I've worked over 1,000 events, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I've had a lot of wedding cake.
No, that's awesome. So I love the fact that it's kind of like a franchise model. Yeah, and again, as you said, it's just really having that support. So do they anyone that wants to buy into your photo booth is with the photo booth name attached to it?
No, no,
Or
no. There's no
okay,
fees or nothing. Yeah. Yeah. It's like a franchise, but no fees or anything like that. But
right.
they buy it, they start their own business, but we're going to give you all the support.
Gotcha. So they can put
Yeah.
on. They want to. You can overcome anything. Photo booth if you wanted to,
Yeah,
pretty much, right?
exactly. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
again, is that idea, right? Is being able to do that. So there's definitely one thing that comes to mind is like obviously you've been very successful. You've been in many different masterminds. You've been in many different events. And one thing you said that I really like, and I think for those that are listening to this should really take note of that, is that you've created a budget. So very similar to how you create a budget for your business or things like that. You've already factored a budget for yourself. It seems like it, that on a yearly basis, whatever is $5,000 or $1,000 doesn't matter. It's just the fact that you actually have it down is that I'm going to spend X amount of dollars in some sort of self-development to help me move forward. Is that accurate to say?
That's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's pretty awesome, right? When you start thinking that way, you're already thinking for that success, right? Like really creating yourself and the actions to be able to really take it further, right? Creating that action down the line. Um, if people wanted to know more about Photo Booth or connect with you about anything that you do, how can they find you?
Yeah. They can, Instagram is usually good. So if you guys interested in starting a photo booth rental business, you can check out our training at photoboothmoney.com. We do a 90-minute training there. I'm going over the opportunity. If you want to connect with me directly, you can reach me on Instagram. That's at Next Level JP on Instagram. Or I'm using this new app called Community. You can send me a text. It's 972-284-0506. That goes right to my cell phone, and you can chat with me right there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's
feel free to
awesome.
reach out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to know, like, what is one of your biggest lessons you've learned to this point?
Biggest lessons. Let's see. Um, Let me see. I have all my lessons actually documented down.
That's awesome.
So I'm gonna pull it up and find what one of my biggest ones. There's so many along the way. I've been
Yeah,
let down so much, you know.
and you've been able to get up, right? Maybe that's a lesson by itself. Like, how do you get up from all those moments you've been let down?
Right. Yeah. It becomes, you know, part of you. And yeah, I would say the biggest lesson I want to reiterate again is like, you don't have to know everything, but know enough not to get screwed over.
Mm,
That would be but the biggest lesson. That would have saved me a lot of money. Whether
yeah,
you're hiring someone to do anything for your business, especially a business. I would say that, attorneys, accountants, CPAs, because at the end of the day, look, if you go, you meet someone, you hire a bookkeeper, right? An accountant. Sometimes you got these people who do your books. They don't even have a CPA license, but they're actually doing accounting, and that's the first signal. And that's actually the guy that screwed us over, that we had to redo the books for 3 years. So we should have known that. Uh, at that point, when we were amateur, the mindset I had back then was, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to do what I love to do, and that's it. I don't want to deal with accounting. I don't want to read balance sheets. I don't want to understand a profit and loss statement. And that mindset got me messed up badly. So if you're planning to be an entrepreneur, you need to understand basic accounting. You need to know how to read a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement. And you need to know that, hey, there's money in the bank account. It doesn't mean, you're making money on a month-to-month basis,
Right.
because I ran my business like that for years in the beginning, and I was losing money left and right. I'm still paying up debt till today, because there's money coming in, I PayPal, transfer that in. But at the end of the month, we're losing money. So because I went back to the mindset like, hey, I trust this guy. My accountant will tell me if I'm losing money. No, the accountant has 40 other clients, and he's trying to do the least amount of work because he just wants to hit the monthly, every month in the recurrent, right? So I would say the biggest lesson, if you hire someone, no, you don't have to know everything about it. You don't have to be an accountant, but you have to know enough to know, like, hey, why did you put this in this category? Why are we filing my taxes like this? What's the depreciation? What's appreciation? What are my write-offs that I got for this year? You need to know these things, and I didn't know it for years, and I paid the price. I paid too much taxes. I had to pay another accountant to redo 3 years worth of books. That costed me. So I would say that's a big lesson.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. My last question for you is, if anyone that is listening to this is going through some sort of challenge, whatever the challenge that might be, what is one thing you can say to them so they can start overcoming that challenge?
Yeah, I would say whatever challenge you're going through, you need to work on your skills. Skills is the only thing that gets you paid in this world. Skills. Nothing else will get you paid in this world but skills. You have skills, right? You do a podcast, you know how to edit the podcast, how to interview people. That's a skill that you have. My skill that I learned how to build websites. I was selling fake Nike shoes, but 10 years later, now I build all my websites for my company. I know how to do it. I know how to get in the front page of Google. I know how to generate revenue. So if you're going through something hard, I just focus on learning and get your skills up. There's a lot of, the online marketplace to sell your skills to businesses now it's now more than ever needed. I've got people working all over the world, and they work for me because they have skills that can help me. And I would hire more people if more people have skills, but people are shy of the camera. They're shy of podcasts. They don't know how to, a guy told me the other day, I don't know how to use Zoom. I almost lost it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to work on your skills. I would say that's work on that, because that will solve it. That will solve your hardship. They say money is happiness and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if I need to take care of my family, I know that I have the skills to make the money to take care of my family.
Right.
And I've been working on my skills, and that's what got me to where I am today. And I think anybody can do the same thing, especially now with YouTube.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. No, that's awesome, Josh. Definitely, I really enjoy having you on the show and learning from you and learning more about you. One thing that I have here that you mentioned, which is actually pretty good and a good way to kind of end that, and you can elaborate more on that, is never depend on one income, right? And I think even as an entrepreneur, that's very, very important, right? Never depend on one income. You want to say anything to that?
Yeah, I do. I'm glad you brought that up again. So when pandemic hit, okay, obviously I'm in the entertainment industry and I depend on live events, right? Or my customers do. We took a pretty big hit. Thankfully, we because of my business knowledge and all the stuff that I lost in the bank, we had enough reserves to last us, and now we're actually doing better than we ever did from a profit standpoint, net profit, right? But a lot of people, they tell you invest all of your profits back into your business. I don't think that's a good recommendation, if you will. I personally took some of the profits from my business. I purchased real estate. The building that we're in right now for my business, we own that building. I just listed it for sale. We have it under contract. I bought it 2 years ago for 500,000. I'm selling it now for 685 in 2 years. So I made 185,000 on that. Okay, so take some of the profits that you have and invest into real estate. You already said you're a real estate guy. Maybe you can agree with some of this.
Yep.
But if I was, the mindset I was 5 years ago, oh, I'm just going to lease forever. I don't want to deal with owning a building. I don't even, little old me, I can't buy a building, but here I am now. I'm buying another building. I'm in the process of buying another building. And mind you, SBA is making 6 months payments on the 7A loan, which you can use to buy a building. So I'm taking advantage of that right now. If I just depended on the point I'm trying to make, if I was only dependent on one income on my photo booth manufacturing business, then I would have been in a different place now. But thankfully, I've had my real estate income. I do have some rental properties that actually was able to, had some cash flow coming in. I didn't cover all the bills, but it was nice to get cash flow from the rental income. But all of my real estate came from my business. I took some profits from there, reinvested some profits into real estate. And that, ties back in with having more than one income. You don't have to technically start another business, but you can do real estate on the side for that.
Yeah, no, I love that. No, definitely. That's and that's a good point, because a lot of people got hit. Even if you're doing your 9 to 5, not knocking the 9 to 5, but a lot of people lost their jobs and you don't have anything to rely on. If you're a new entrepreneur and just had one source of income, you definitely could have gotten hit. I know I got hit too for a couple of reasons too, and everybody did. I think this whole thing happened to everybody, but it's how do you react to that, and what do you do to make a difference and to start something new? Right, exactly.
It flushed out a lot of people that weren't ready.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And the true people who, understand business and stuff like that, they were ready. I mean, a seasoned business owner will tell you, like, you need to have reserves. You know what I mean? You see these big companies going under, the first 30 days, like, man, they didn't have any, reserve. They were making billions for, the last 30 years.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, Josh, thank you so much for being here. Anything else before I let you go?
No, that's it. Thank you. You've been great. Thank you so much. Feel free to reach out if anybody has questions. I love, chatting with entrepreneurs, and to send me a text. I'll send out motivational stuff and you can chat directly with me.
Awesome. Yeah. So definitely thank you so much for being here, Josh. And for the rest of you guys, make sure you connect with Josh, look him up, reach out to him, and stay tuned for the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.